Hi guys, and welcome to Road to the Stage at 50 Plus. Well, today I have a treat. I want to talk about the monster in the room, nutrition. Yes, I want to talk about how nutrition is 70% of what you do on your bodybuilding stage. You can work out and work out and work out, lift weights, train hard, do all that. But if your nutrition is not right, you will not build muscle, you will not lose fat. So, those are some of the things I want to talk about with you today. So, if you're interested in that, stay tuned because that's coming up next. Hi, guys, and welcome into the room. Um, this is another episode, and this time I want to talk to you a little bit about nutrition. Um, I'm sorry if you hear this background noise behind me. I'm in my Zen room in my building, and it's kind of outside, so you'll hear a lot of wind noise. Hopefully, you can hear me over the wind noise. But if you're 40 or 50 and trying to prep the same way you did in your 20s, this video might save you a lot of months of frustration and probably a lot of muscle. Okay. I'm a registered nurse, competitive bodybuilder, and this is why stage prep nutrition or nutrition in general after 50 has to be done differently. As you know, I'm a bodybuilder, and so I prep a little differently for my competition season. But I wanted to talk a little bit about nutrition in general, in life. Okay. Um, if you're not stepping on the stage, but you're still trying to get lean, strong, and healthy after 40, this still applies to you. After 50, fat loss is no longer the hardest part. Recovery is. When you're younger, you can get away with aggressive calorie cuts, endless cardio, and poor sleep. After 40 and 50, the same approach leads to inflammation, overload, stalled fat loss, and muscle loss. Your nervous system takes longer to recover, and your joints take longer to calm down. Your sleep becomes more sensitive, as I can tell you. So if recovery breaks down, fat loss stops, and no matter how disciplined you think you are or you're being, that fat loss will not happen. One of the biggest mistakes I see over 40 is cutting carbs too early. Carbs are just fuel for your muscle. They are a stress buffer. They protect training intensity and they help regulate your cortisol. They support your sleep. And at this stage in life, carbs are about timing and not elimination. I'd rather use carbs intentionally around training than crush my nervous system and stall all my progress. Another major shift after 50 is how your body responds to protein. Muscle protein synthesis slows down with age. What that means is that dumping all of your protein into one or two meals doesn't work well anymore. Spacing protein throughout the day becomes critical if you want to hold muscle while leaning out. This is where a lot of people think they're eating enough, but their timing is working against them. Aggressive calorie cutting or aggressive calorie deficits might move the scale fast, but they wreck your hormones, sleep, and recovery. Thyroid function slows and your cortisol rises. Sleep gets lighter, training performance drops, and the body responds by holding fat and not releasing it. So if you're cutting calories too quickly, then your body will tell you it's gonna not give you the response that you want, no matter how hard you train, no matter what you do, even if you're the hardest working person in the gym. If your body is not getting what it needs for recovery, then the progress will stall. After 50, smarter always beats harder. If you're 40 and over and you want to stay lean, strong, and competitive without breaking your body, make sure you're subscribed. This entire series is about nutrition. And I want to do a little bit more talk about foods, how I eat to stay healthy for longevity. A typical day of eating for me isn't complicated. Maybe eggs or protein in the morning. Most of the time, I do meals during the day, lean protein and vegetables at night, simple meals that support my training and my overall health. And what I did learn from my bodybuilding career is that where most of your calories are located is on like your sauces and in like your ketchups and your butter, and when you layer your food, if you use simple ingredient items, like if you make your chicken, you put a little seasoning on it, you use fat free items or sugar free barbecue sauce, those things cut out a lot of calories. And you learn how to enjoy the flavor of food without all those extra sauces and all that stuff on it. If you're watching this and you feel it's too late to transform your health, I promise you it isn't. So people often ask me, what is a typical day like for me? And I express like what I eat for breakfast. Most days it's a little bit of oatmeal, some eggs, and maybe some fruit. For lunch, I would probably have like a lean protein and a vegetable. Um, I do eat carbs, but I eat certain carbs. I eat rice, jasmine rice. I may do sweet potatoes and oatmeal. Those are the major carbs that I eat. And I try to eat those early in the day. As you know, as you may or may not know, some vegetables are considered like a carb, like broccoli is very fibrous. It depends on the fiber content of the vegetable. So if you're eating meat and vegetable in the evening or in the afternoon, you're still getting a serving of carbs with your meal. So it's not like you have to have an actual potatoes with your meal if you're doing broccoli, squash, and lean protein. Lean proteins consist of turkey, chicken, fish, um, lean ground beef or bison. Those work well. And like I mentioned before, having a little bit of protein, whether it's 4 or 6 ounces in every meal, does a lot for your body. Not only does it help with your muscles, it also keeps you fuller and it allows for you not to snack so much during the day. And we know if you're snacking a lot, depending on what type of snacks you eat, there's a lot of empty calories in snacking. So that will help reduce your snacking. So that's kind of a typical way I eat, and I do not eat a lot of condiments. I try to stay away from ketchup, mayo, stuff like that. And if I do eat ketchup, I have found sugar-free ketchup works good for me. Even with if I do protein pancakes, I do those sometimes. I'll use sugar-free syrup. It is an acquired taste, but you feel so much better when you get a lot of the sugar out of your system. Um, Everybody is different. You know, I can do artificial sweeteners. Some people prefer holistic and natural sugars, and they have that, available. You just have to do a little bit of digging for what's good for your body. So I just wanted to share a little bit about nutrition and how that helps you evolve mentally, not only mentally, but it helps your body evolve and you can stay, your optimal self while you're living a healthier lifestyle. Welcome to my Zen room. I hope you enjoy. While I'm sharing this beautiful view of my Zen room, I did want to mention that there are 3 macronutrients that we are concerned with. That is protein, carbohydrates, and fats. So those are the macronutrients that we're concerned with when we're working out. To explain it a simple way, your carbohydrates feed the muscle, your protein helps build the muscle, and the fats are for lubrication. Also, very important, your fats are for your hormones. So, you definitely need to keep a healthy amount of good fats in your system. I did want to go into a little bit about the condiments, and I did mention ketchup and mayo, but also the sauces, the heavy sauces that they put on the food here. A lot of it is oil based or butter based. It has cream, heavy cream, milk, and a lot of people don't know, but milk sometimes causes inflammation in your body. So like anytime you're eating heavy cream and milk, stuff like that, you can cause you can either have, some people have what you call leaky gut syndrome, or just inflammation throughout your body. And so milk and creams cause that. They have certain foods that are inflammation type foods. And so, or they have foods that will cause less inflammation. So like for me, um, I try to stay away from regular milk. I'll do like almond or oat milk, which works well for my system. Um, so those are some of the things. Even some vegetables can cause a little bit of inflammation, believe it or not. So like even certain vegetables are less residual in your gut, like string beans, spinach. So I can go into detail on nutrition and different foods if that's something you want to hear. But I just wanted to mention about the condiments and how certain foods can make you have inflammation and will cause your stomach to swell up and you have a bloated abdomen look. So if you clean some of those foods out of your diet, then you'll notice that your gut will go down a little bit. It's talk about how my food relationship has evolved because, you know, as a bodybuilder, you really you can develop a problem with food, with your food relationship, because you're restricting your diet so much. So food used to feel stressful sometimes, especially as a woman. We're taught to fear food. Now I look at food for as fuel for strength, fuel for healing, fuel for energy, and fuel for confidence. What I focus on now, I keep my nutrition pretty simple right now and sustainable. I focus on making sure every meal has, which is very important, protein to protect my muscle and strength, carbohydrates, which fuel my workout and my brain function, and healthy fats to support hormones and overall health. Nothing extreme, just consistent. Living in Panama has actually helped me reconnect with food in a really beautiful way. Fresh seafood, which we all have easy access to, local fruits, simple whole foods, farm eggs, and fresh markets. There's something grounding about eating food closer to its natural state. And I think that's part of evolving your life too. So, one of the biggest evolutions for me has been removing that guilt around food. Food is not the enemy. And at this stage of my life, I'm not chasing perfection anymore. I'm chasing strength, peace, and sustainability. I want to thank you for tuning in to this nutrition episode. I hope this has been beneficial and you learned something from this episode. At the end of this video, I will be sharing an example of one of the diets that I was on during my prep. This diet is pretty extreme, so I wouldn't advise you following this diet right off the bat, but this is an example of the diet I used.